Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I will be talking about the books I read in July. I read a total of 6 books in July, which is not my best reading month, but I mean, it could be worse. I did read 2 physical books, which I'm happy about, and then I read 4 ebooks. I talked about this in my August reading plans video, but I have just been so consumed with my phone and just social media. I've been on my computer, just literally on YouTube, like all of the time. And I feel like that's why I haven't been reading. Usually if I'm not reading a lot, it's because I'm replacing it with TV shows and movies. However, I'm not even doing that. So it's not like I can justify not reading. Like I have time to read. I'm just replacing it with social media, which is just awful. But I'm really hopeful that August is going to be the better month for me reading wise. But I did read 6 books and most of them were kind of mediocre, which also sucks, but that's just honestly how my July went. The first book I read in July was By Sin I Rise Part 2 by Cora Riley. This I gave 2 out of 5 stars. This is the second book in the Sins of the Father series, and this continues Marcella and Maddox's story. Basically, this book just follows Marcella and Maddox figuring out their relationship and trying to make it work. I feel like nothing happened in this book, to be honest. It was just kind of the same thing over and over again about people not wanting Marcella and Maddox together. I also understand like the point of Cora Riley writing kind of like this new mafia generation and like making the women more involved. I totally understand that, but I also don't care. There's also this weird thing that I don't really understand when it comes to like mafia romances, how famous the family is and they have paparazzi following them everywhere and they are like in the tabloids and all this kind of stuff. And you would think like a real mafia family would try to be like under the radar and would not want public attention. I just don't really understand the whole fame aspect to this book specifically. The fame aspect just feels totally out of place. I just ended up really not liking this book and I feel like it was totally pointless. I feel like Cora Riley could have just put part 1 and part 2 together and just shortened it a little bit because it was so unnecessary for the second book. Then I read Today, Tonight, Tomorrow by Rachel Lynn Solomon. I actually vlogged while reading this, so I will link that reading vlog down below. I didn't really go super in depth, but I did kind of review it towards the end. So if you want to hear more thoughts, definitely check out that vlog. This I gave 3 out of 5 stars. It follows Rowan and Neil, who have had kind of this rivalry their entire high school. And it's finally the last day of high school. It's their graduation. And Rowan and Neil have fought over who will be valedictorian. And when Neil ends up beating Rowan for valedictorian, she feels like it's her last chance to beat him at the Howl, which is a senior class game that takes them all over Seattle. It's kind of like a scavenger hunt / like challenge game. However, Neil and Rowan end up teaming up unexpectedly, and Rowan discovers that there might be more to Neil than their rivalry. This was really cute. I really liked the characters and the little romance. However, I just didn't feel super connected to either of them. This book only takes place in 24 hours, so you don't really get to see the characters for a long span of time. You just get to see their like initial character development, which was great, and I feel like the author did a really good job of not making it seem too fast. I did like how Rowan was very into romance novels and she wanted to be a romance author and she was very passionate about the genre. Overall, this book was very cute and very fun and very interesting. I just feel like it kind of lacked something for me. Sorry if the angle changed a little bit. I had to change my battery, but the next book I read was Tease by Melanie Harlow. This is the 8th book in the Cloverleaf Farm series, and this I gave 3 out of 5 stars. I'm just gonna read the summary that I wrote in my reading journal because I feel like I wrote a better summary than I can explain on the spot. At her 10-year high school reunion, Felicity blurts out that she's engaged to a hot billionaire, and all she can think of is her best friend Hutton, who shows up to help, but unfortunately the news spreads like wildfire, and Hutton convinces her to keep up the ruse for a bit, but slowly things start to feel real. This was decent. It's not my favorite in the series by far. I liked the characters and I did like the romance. I just felt like there wasn't chemistry. There wasn't enough of a connection for me. There were some cute moments and I loved how this was best friends to lovers, and it was fun reading about these two characters who were scared to confess their feelings. I just felt like there wasn't any resolution to a lot of the plot. Like Felicity is supposed to deal with some stuff with her mom. However, there's no resolution to that plot line at all. There's also a point where Felicity is living with her parents, yet you don't see like any conversations with her parents like ever, which I also found was very strange. I just feel like this book was rushed a little bit and a lot of things felt unresolved, and I felt kind of a lack of chemistry between Felicity and Hutton, but I did like their sex scenes. Those were great. Overall, this book just kind of felt off to me. Then I read Blindside by Candy Steiner. This I gave 3 out of 5 stars. This follows Gianna, who works for a college football media team, and she basically kind of has to like control these football players, and she starts having trouble with Clay, who is like the football star, and she's kind of trying to figure out like what's wrong with him. But things start to change when Clay witnesses Gianna be a mess when she's around her crush, and he suggests that they fake date to win her crush and for him to win back his ex. This was cute and sexy and fun, and I loved the whole college aspect, but I just didn't love it. I did love how Gianna was super into romance novels, and Clay was kind of a big romantic. He had a big heart and he just wanted to take care of everyone. I didn't feel super attached to the characters or the romance itself, but the sex scenes were great in here, and I loved Gianna and Clay's development as characters, and I did like the development in their relationship. While I was reading it, like I did like it, but after I finished it, I found it very forgettable, and it just didn't really stand out to me. Then I read Resisting Roots by Audrey Carlin. This is the first book in the Lotus House series, and this I gave 3.5 stars. This follows Genevieve, who is a yoga instructor, and she is trying to raise her siblings after their parents passed away. And she meets Trent, who is a baseball player, and he's recovering from an injury, and he is instructed to do some yoga, and that's where they meet. And it's kind of insta-lovey, but I feel like it really worked for this book. This is a Passionflix adaptation, so I did make a whole video on the book and the movie, so I will link that down below. I actually like properly reviewed this book in that video, which is the first time I feel like I've done that for a Passionflix adaptation. I really went into detail about like everything I liked and didn't like, but basically I really liked the characters and the romance. I liked the sex scenes. I thought this was a really fun but emotional and heartfelt book. It was a simple and easy read, but I really liked it for that reason. I just really enjoyed what this book did and just how it was. Like, it was straight to the point, and I really ended up liking it. And the last book I read in July was Garnet Flats by Devney Perry. This is the 3rd book in the Eden series, and this I had initially given 4 stars, but I am now changing my rating to 3 stars. 7 years ago, Talia was madly in love with Foster until he broke her heart by marrying her best friend. Fresh from his divorce, Foster is in Quincy, ready to fight and win back Talia's heart. I think I was just generous giving it 4 stars because there were so many things in this book that hurt my heart. And then I compare it to Indigo Ridge and Juniper Hill, and to me, this is my least favorite in the series so far. And I gave both of those other 2 4 stars. So that's why I changed this to a 3 star, because it did not compare. I liked the characters. I did overall like the plot. I feel like it's really hard for me to explain why I didn't like this book, because I feel like Foster was justified in what he did. Like, I understand where he was coming from and I understand why he did what he did, but I also feel like there were other ways to fix everything. Like, there were other ways that things could have changed. And I mean, later on in the book, Talia says, like, why didn't you tell me? Like, you could have told me and like we would have figured it out. And that, I think, is my problem, is he never told her anything. He just did things without discussing it with her, and it ruined their relationship. And personally, I would have never forgiven him for what he did. Foster and his ex are just always going to be tied together, which I feel like is so unfair to Talia. I feel like that is just like a constant reminder of like them betraying her. It sucks because I was really excited for this book, and I mean, I had initially given it 4 stars because I did like it after I finished it. And then I read other people's reviews and I was like, oh, I kind of agree. Like, I see exactly what they're saying. There was also kind of a plot twist in here that I did not see coming. It was kind of hinted at, but like, I was just so into the book that I like didn't really pick up on it, I guess. And I, like Talia, kind of felt like shocked and surprised and a little hurt because I didn't see that coming either. So I kind of was like relating to her a lot because I was like, oh my God, like I did not see that coming. I just felt bad for Talia. I feel like she kind of deserved better. I will say Foster did grovel pretty well, but I feel like he could have done better. He could have did a lot more to try to win her back. I don't feel like she gave in too fast or too easy, but I feel like when she did start forgiving Foster, he stopped fighting. It was kind of like he already won, and I feel like he should have fought until like the very end. I love the small town vibes in the series though, and I'm very, very excited for the next book. I hope I love it because I'm so sad that I was disappointed with this one. So those were all 6 books that I read in July. Let me know if you have read any of these books and what you think about them, and let me know how many books you read in July. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to give this video a like, subscribe, follow me on all my other social media, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.